Wake up, Lo-Fi Nation. It's 8 a.m. and a beautiful 70 degrees in Buenos Aires, Argentina. You're listening to Lofi Poli Sci. Oh yeah, it's your Monday morning edition of the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pickering, here to talk about that famous question, what's going on in the world today? And we'll get you that weekend cinema box office report and your 5-day weather forecast for the week in just a minute. But for now, straight to it, the news fresh off that press. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we here at Lofi Poli Sci are proud to bring you a special segment called Smoke and Mirrors. AKA the COP26 climate talks. That's right, Lo-Fi listeners out there, after 2 weeks of talking, let's see what the leaders of the world and corporations all agreed on to save our planet. First off, COP26 means the Conference of Parties 26, which means the parties, meaning countries, that signed onto the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change of 1994. And it is, in fact, the 26th meeting of those countries, aka the parties, signed. They meet about once every year, hence, it's been about 26 years since that 1994 climate change treaty was signed. And hence, COP26. Oh, ain't they cool with their names? No, lame as can be. Anyway, and in case you're wondering, the Paris Climate Accords, as a matter of fact, was signed in 2015 at the COP21. But no one called it that. It's just the Paris Climate Accords. So really, you can think of COP26, which just took place in Glasgow, Scotland, as a follow-up to the Paris Climate Accords agreement. And really, saying that one phrase that I just said should tell you everything you need to know about this event and what was agreed upon. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So, almost 200 countries, every country in the world that participates in the United Nations, all signed up to, wait for it, do what they agreed on last time in 2015? Question mark? I mean, really, what a big-ass letdown. Though, of course, not really a surprise. Now, I know a lot of media out there talking about the takeaways and what was revolutionary about all this stuff going on at COP26. And that, my friends, is smoke and mirrors. You see, rewind to the Paris Climate Accords of 2015. Now, that was revolutionary, because never before had every country in the world signed onto anything, much less a climate change agreement. However, that agreement was really barely an agreement at all, or at least it wasn't a climate policy proposal. You see, countries, they set their own environmental programs. No one enforced them, no one checked on them, and no one punished anyone if they didn't make good on them. And no one made sure that it would be enough to actually do a damn thing. And we have the exact same principles used, the same framework, to this COP26 agreement. They cut and pasted the Paris Climate Accords and just asked every country to update their environmental plans and report on them more often. That's it. There's nothing new or revolutionary or planet-saving about what was agreed on at COP26. That's why we hadn't been talking about it for the past 2 weeks. Because there was a very big likelihood that this would happen. And I hear you out there, whoa, Lofi Poli Sci, hold on your horses there. Okay, speak to me. Wait, what's that? Well, what about the phasing down of coal as brand new language and things about deforestation or other headlines that we've been reading about? Okay, sure. Let's take coal first. Countries are saying they will phase down or completely cut out coal. But there is no actual plan or agreement on how that is going to happen. All of that is done at the country level, by congresses, by parliaments, prime ministers, and presidents. And all those laws to reach that goal will be made inside countries, and thus, no one actually put forward any plan to do this in their home countries. They just said, when we go home, we're going to do this. So again, all theory, or smoke and mirrors for the press. And all of these leaders now have to go back home with their own domestic politics going on and see if they can actually pass legislation that would do anything close to what they're aiming to do in COP26. So again, no literal agreement was made on how to phase down or phase out coal. None. Well, what about deforestation and a few other things and the funding of developing countries? Firstly, all of that and anything else you heard was not agreed upon by the full conference of parties, and are agreements made by subunits, meaning smaller groupings of countries. For example, the Deforestation Agreement was only just over 100 countries, meaning only just over half the world promised to stop deforestation by 2030. Not the full conference. And you may be asking, well, how are people saying with any definitive authority that COP26 is, or is not, going to reach the 1.5 degree centigrade target to control global warming? A simple answer. No one has the definitive authority to answer that question. No one knows, because no one knows how each of these countries are actually going to attack these goals, and what kind of environmental laws are going to be passed in these different countries, and if these countries even have the power to enforce those laws. And all of that knowledge and data would be needed in order to definitively say whether COP26 will actually meet that 1.5 degree target. And remember, if countries don't do shit, meaning they completely say, sorry, we can't enact these environmental policies, nothing happens to them. Nothing. So, now you know. COP26, in a nutshell, is nothing more than Paris Climate Accords 2.0. Smoke and mirrors, and the rest is just for the media. But now, you know that lo-fi truth, listener. But now, let's go ahead and switch gears and ease up a bit, because that was pretty intense for first thing in a Monday morning. So let's hit that weekend box office report and find out what did people see at the movies in the U.S. this weekend. Coming in at number 5, and still somehow in the top 5, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, took in another $4 million at the U.S. box office. Number 4, James Bond, No Time to Die, took in another $4.6 million. Number 3, Dune, took in another $5.5 million. Number 2, on its opening weekend, Clifford the Big Red Dog, oh yeah, made $16.4 million. Well done, Clifford. And coming in at number 1, and retaining its number 1 seat from last week, Eternals, with an additional $27.5 million domestically, bringing its less than 2 weeks out in the box office global total to $281 million. And remember, next time you feel sorry for Disneyland and Disney World, just remember, Disney owns Marvel Studios. Now, our first story was a bit long, so we're going to give you some fast-paced global catch-ups for your Monday morning. Out in Myanmar, well, the military that took over the country is cracking down even harder on the press, as they arrested in May an American who was working with Myanmar press. They just sentenced him to 11 years in prison for working with that banned media outlet. 11 years. And he's not even from Myanmar. But no worries. The U.S. government, they own that. They came out strongly against it. They condemned the actions of the military and are asking for his immediate release. Yes, you can figure out for yourself how that went in Myanmar. But we'll keep you updated whenever we hear more for sure. And you may have also caught a headline about things out in Madagascar getting worse or getting bad. And around 1 million people are in need of food aid. Like right now. The tragic part is, we talked about this in April and May of this year. And this is all because of drought and climate change and seawaters rising on an island nation. And they're still in need of urgent help since last we spoke about it. If only someone would hold, a conference on climate change or something, on how to help developing countries deal with it. Wouldn't that be nice? ? And updates in diplomatic affairs as they pertain to Ethiopia and the civil war going on there. So we've previously talked about how the military from Eritrea were found in Ethiopia helping out the government targeting Tigrayan people in the Tigray region. Now the U.S. is placing sanctions on the Eritrean ruling military for intervening and perpetuating that civil war. Watch out to see how Eritrea is going to respond to this one. And in Ecuador, man, this one here, we're going to have to do a special episode soon. The situations in prisons there, the violence, the cartel wars, there's a lot to unpack. But yeah, if you did hear about it or not, coming soon, we'll dig into the prison situations in Ecuador all year long that's been going on and how they are connected to the cartels. All right, let's breathe for a second, people. Oh, man, this is an intense Monday, is it not? Sheesh. What a rough weekend, wasn't it? I mean, what's up with the world lately? I mean, it was beautiful, even though a little bit of chilly all weekend long. I mean, can't we just get along in nice weather? Well, let's see how that weather's going to look in your Metro New Orleans area this week with that 5-day forecast coming at you. It's 8 a.m. and in the 50s. Wow, it's bright, beautiful, and cold outside. Monday to Wednesday, it's lows in the low 60s and highs in the 70s with nothing but sunshine. Thursday, highs in the low 70s, lows 48 degrees on Thursday. And wait for it, at 40%, it will in fact be cloudy with a chance of meatballs. And Friday, 55 to 66 and beautiful and bright all day long. It's fall in New Orleans, people. Enjoy it while we got it. Now, we're going to bring you some election news updates. And no, before you run away, don't stay. It's not American elections. How boring. Although we will say in the Metro New Orleans area, the mayor was reelected on Saturday. So second term coming for Mayor Cantrell. But what we want to talk about is the Philippines and Libya and how they are so similar and yet worlds apart. So we already talked about in the Philippines that the son of the dead dictator, Fernando Marcos, announced he was running for president and how this was some bullshit. We had also talked about how current president, and not a dictator yet, but most certainly a dick-almost-tator, President Duterte was going to run as a vice president. Well, now, the plot thickens as all kinds of stuff are coming out about Duterte's daughter has officially signed up to run as the vice presidential candidate under Ferdinand Marcos' son. What? I mean, this is just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. This is basically like an arranged marriage during feudal times, where two powerful lords would marry their children and combine their kingdoms to consolidate power and rule the lands together. The Marcos and Duterte families combined as president and vice president. Lo-Fi Nation, you can't make this shit up. I mean, keep your eyes open and ears to the ground on this one. But we ain't even close to over yet. Because in Libya, the son of the former dictator, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, who ruled the country of Libya for about 40 years and was assassinated and murdered in 2011 during the Arab Spring/Civil War in Libya. Yeah, that guy. His son has just announced running for the presidency of Libya. WTF. No. You know what? We're just going to say it. What the fuck? I mean, again, you can't make this shit up. What's up with former dictators who didn't have good endings, mind you? What's up with their children coming along and saying, maybe I can do a bit better than dear old dad? Legacy politics. That's some bullshit. Again, keep your ears open for updates on all this one, people. And a last piece of news to send you on your way for the day. You know I can't leave you like that. So let me break one down for you that I think, well, it'll be nice if this becomes the new norm for everybody. In Portugal, they've now legally made it to where bosses cannot, I repeat, cannot text their staff after work hours. Meaning once you're off the clock, you're off the clock. People, I love this. I mean, make it text, calls, emails, Morse code connecting two cans together by a string. When I'm off, leave me alone. Oh yeah, Portugal. Well done, Portugal. Well done indeed on this Monday. And that's your Monday morning edition of What's Going On in the World Today. Added to the calendar, December 2nd, live show at UNO campus. And are you interested in writing into the show? Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, myself on LinkedIn, email, let your voice be heard. Always remember that Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Peace and well-being to all my human beings out there. Much love and always the best. Pickering, signing off.